Hey guys, this is Mike and Randy Walls down here at Tackle Shack, and this is the Winner's Circle Episode 1. Something totally new for us. Stay tuned, it's going to be happening all year long, but basically what we want to do is give a tip of the cap to some of the area's best fishermen and the winners of local tournaments. So there'll be a couple different tournament circuits we're going to work with this year, but Randy happened to win the first one, which was last week with the Premier Bass Tournament Circuit, and they were on Lake James in Angola. Congrats on your win. It's a heck of a start to the season. I mean, do you have plans of chasing that ALY title now?
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Again, we do.
Yep.
We are not usually very good in the spring, but with a good start in the spring, we're definitely going to go for it full steam.
Heck yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
So with your win, what's your overall take on the day? It looked like from the weights it was pretty tough. Guys really struggled, and James can be a really tough body of water, but what's your overall thoughts on how the day unfolded?
The day unfolded surprisingly for us. We started somewhere where we weren't expecting to start because of our draw. Everybody else went to the water we wanted to go to. So we just made a 180 and tried something different, which seemed to work out at least early. I think the drastic change in the weather confused the fish or hurt the fish because nobody could catch anything shallow, nobody could catch anything deep. To speak of, there were no limits out of 20 boats. That tells you how bad it was. And there's some good sticks in the circuit.
What prior experience did you have with that body of water before Saturday's tournament?
We hadn't been to that body of water in, I think it's 5 years. It wasn't the same body of water. There were no grass, no pads.
So did you get to practice for this event, and how did it help you on tournament day, or how did your lack of practice maybe help you out?
I think the lack of practice is what helped us out. We did not get to the body of water. I hadn't seen it in 5 years. I think a lot of what we do is we go out and just fish the conditions for that day. And it doesn't tarnish us where, hey, we caught them here Tuesday. They still got to be here. We got to look for them.
Especially in the spring, at a time when everything's changing. No, so it's interesting, because I think so many people, including myself, I mean, I like to practice as much as I possibly can. It's like a blanket, I think. It's kind of a comfort blanket where you're like, well, I got bites in practice. I should be fine on tournament day. But like you said, sometimes not knowing what's happening makes you figure it out on that day, and that can be everything.
It does.
Yep. Yeah, so what do you think then was your main factor as far as what gave you an edge over the other competitors?
We're open to anything.
Yep.
Mark and I, we complement each other. I see a lot of guys, you walk by their boats, and the boater and the non-boater will have their rods rigged up exactly the same. And if one's catching one on a spinnerbait, Mark and I don't do that.
Yep.
We never have. I carry a very small bag with a few baits in it, and Mark carries the arsenal, and he'll change baits and rods almost every 10 casts.
I see it all the time too. And I think, my dad and I have had a lot of success in team tournaments, and I think that's a lot of what it is. It's a lot of, I definitely err more toward the power fishing side of things. I have no issue going finesse if I have to, but if I can catch him moving, I'm going to. And then he's always seems to be back there fishing slow and dragging, and a lot of times he'll catch a big one behind me. So definitely something I think you guys probably have figured out that a lot of people maybe are just hammered, like they're biting a chatterbait, and both guys are just slinging the same color, same speed, same size, in the same area all day long,
Hey, if it's working, it's great.
Right, and there's a place for it.
If it's not, you're hurting yourself big time.
But yeah, so I guess I kind of just covered this, but a question I had written down was like, you and Mark are a team that consistently year in and year out, you jump around in different opens, you fish your circuits, and you're successful. Do you think that's the main factor? You guys just kind of understanding each other as fishermen and knowing that if you just trust each other enough, you'll figure it out throughout the day?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We do that. Plus, we can pull up to a section of a lake or something like that, and we can look at it, and we both have our independent thoughts. Hey, I see the mat here. I'll throw a frog first.
Yep.
Mark might punch.
Yep.
Something like that, or I slide something underneath the front of it.
What would you say is a common mistake that today, in modern fishing, that you see a lot of anglers make that you think if they could correct just that one thing, what's a common issue that you see?
Unless you're a full-time professional fishes 6 days a week, using your electronics too much.
Yep. Okay.
It's not a video game.
Yep.
They're still fish. They have their own small brains, but they make you look stupid sometimes.
Right.
And if you don't go out and fish the conditions and fish the fish for that day, I don't care if you see them under. I've seen guys say, well, I saw them all day on the grass and couldn't get one to bite. Yeah, it's the electronics.
Yep. And I think there's a balance out there for everyone. There's guys that can excel that way, and it depends on the fishery too. You go to Lake St. Clair or Lake Erie, that's a different ballgame. But I totally get it. I mean, there's times you know, some of the best seasons of my life, and this is just, you know, note to these guys that think, hey, I can't compete in local water if I don't have live scope. You know, we do great here at Tackle Shack with live scope. It's been awesome for us, and I use it like crazy. But one of the best seasons of my life was in a boat that was 20 years old with graphs that were 13 years old and a transducer that hardly worked. And, you know, and you just fish all by your instinct. And I think that there is something to be said for that still to this day. I think especially when you're fishing lakes that you have some experience on, I mean, it's more about like, just feel it out, you know, it'll kind of come to you throughout the day. So I agree with you. Yeah, so on that topic, I guess, as far as, you know, what you have confidence in and whatnot, you've got a lot of tournaments left this year. From, you know, just Premier Circuit and other tournaments.
Correct.
If you had one lure for the rest of those tournaments from today until the end, what lure, or at least lure category, would that be?
Oh, jig.
Okay. Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep.
But swim jig, regular jig. You can hop a jig, you can let it sit. I mean,
It's true.
the jig's it.
Yeah, so I mean, I brought this up too, but you know, you guys have got a hot start this year. Next, you have the Dallas chain. How do you see? Obviously, when an Angler of the Year chase comes into play, it's one tournament at a time. I've been there. I did it on the BFL stage. You know, I get it. It's you think about all of them, but you got to do the next one, because if you bomb the next one, you're right back at the bottom. So, what do you see in the Dallas chain? How do you see that unfolding? I guess looking at it now, which is about a week before the event.
I think I haven't been there, of course, but I think it has a little more color than the rest of the lakes in the area. I believe with the temperature, even though it's been cold the last day or two, within the next week, week and a half, I think temperatures will come up. I think the spawn will be coming on.
Yeah, definitely something that's happening no matter where you are in our area. I mean, the weather has been very unkind to us so far this year, but we are getting to that point where the days are long enough that the fish are going to make their move. We're kind of transitioning, and you could probably attest to this, we're transitioning from a point where food is number one to being in an area that is conducive to what the next step for them is. You know, they start to think about that a lot too. So I think whoever can figure out that transition in this week's tournaments and next week's tournaments is going to be, you know, definitely the best
Just
chance
the lake
to
we
win.
fished, James, we caught several fish on fast baits.
Yep.
I mean, it wasn't we were fishing slow, we weren't fishing deep. We caught them shallow, and we caught them on baits that were moving, so they're getting ready to right now.
So, hey, Randy is a hammer. They catch him around here all the time. You know, he's traveled around, had a lot of success. This guy is definitely somebody you can learn from. Him and Mark are going to be tearing it up. He's probably going to be back on this again at some point this year. Yep, so let's hope he is. But hey, guys, the cool thing is we want to see you on this show. We want to have you in here, ask you questions about your success. So all you've got to do is win a local tournament. We'll reach out to you, and we'll have you on here. So Randy's going to walk away with some cool Tackle Shack clothing today. You guys are going to get some good info, and hopefully you can use it. Come down here to Tackle Shack, get stocked up, and win your next tournament. Thanks for tuning in.